fascinated by the sort of story of riches to rags to riches again. And the next people that I visited were my first family, the Long family. The Long family live in a very remote corner of New Zealand. They're often described as the remotest family in New Zealand, which technically makes them the remotest family in the world, because New Zealand is a long way from anywhere. Robert Long, up in the top there, he dropped out of society back in the 60s. He was studying to be a doctor. He had become disillusioned with capitalism and the material world. He wanted a simpler, more organic, off-grid life, and he bought a little plot of land in a very remote corner of Milford Sound in the South Island of New Zealand. Inaccessible by helicopter at the time, by aeroplane at the time, and by vehicles. You couldn't get there by boats. The only way was to walk 5 days along the beach. And there, without any other supplies, he built himself a cabin out of all the driftwood that he found on the beach. He foraged from the flora and fauna, and he lived there alone for 4 years. A little like Dave Cushin, he got a bit lonely and wanted to find a partner. And fortunately for him, he didn't have to resort to a mannequin. His now wife, Catherine, came along as a research student. They met, they fell in love, and they had their 2 children, Christian and Robin. And there they'd lived in complete isolation ever since. When I visited, the 2 children were just at the point when they were about to leave. They were 18 years old. And it was the first time I had seen this really intense family dynamic. When I say intense, there was no other interactions with anyone, no socialization, no friends, no family. They had no internet. It was just them. So first of all, it was my first experience of true home education, which I think is brilliant, and I take my invisible hat off to anyone in this room who has either done it or is currently home educating their children. But of course there is that sacrifice, socialization. These 2 children, Robin and Christian, had grown up without any other people. But I think it's testament to the work that they did, that shortly after I first visited, they went off to university. They not only got places at university, but they settled in seamlessly. There was a cultural gap. They hadn't seen films and TV shows and music that lots of their contemporaries had. But not only did they graduate from university, but they went on to get great jobs, travel the world, and return as often as a 5-day walk warrants to visit mum and dad. And it really was the first time I started questioning my own values. I'm away a great deal of the year. A lot of questions, actually, how much time am I away? I think one of the causes of my wobble last year was spending too much time. Like everyone, I struggled to find that balance. And this was one of the first times I'd really started to realize the importance of spending quality time with your family. Every